Hello, everybody. How we doing? This is gonna be a fun one. Now, today we're gonna be talking about a very interesting topic to me. We're gonna be talking about players and basketball media. Now, I personally hate the way that fans generally interact with players. I think we need to talk about the way that we treat the human beings in sports and the way that we dehumanize these players to the point of objectification, whether it be through sports betting, whether it be through cards, jerseys, video games, whatever. We have a strange obsession with this stuff, and we have to acknowledge it. We definitely have to acknowledge it. Now, another thing, I feel like we haven't gotten comfortable, and I think a large part of that has to do with y'all don't know me, and I don't know you, but we can start to change that. And I want to start by just acknowledging the fact that yes, I am coming from a privileged position, not only from my skin tone, not only from my background, not only from my family, but also just in general, the fact that I am coming from an outside perspective, someone who hasn't experienced the things that I'm talking about. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a basketball player and I'm a hooper and I know all this and that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm some super fan who knows what it's like to, blood, sweat, and tears for a team. I don't. But I do love this game of basketball, and I do love interacting with fans, and I love watching the game and playing 2K, doing rebuilds, and buying jerseys for my favorite players. Like, I do love all those things, but it's fucking weird. And some people are obsessed, and some people are genuinely view players as objects, as things, as not human beings. And that's something that we really, really need to acknowledge and talk about. Now, another thing that I also have to be aware of when we have this conversation is the privilege of the players. Yes, they are millionaires. They are hooping for their career. That is a blessing, for sure. But they also have worked their ass off for their whole life to get there. They've dedicated and sacrificed everything to reach the position that they've gotten to. Now, some of those people don't use that platform correctly. Some of those people misuse their platform purposefully. But end of the day, all of this can be solved with education and conversation, communication. It's a universal issue, but seemingly one that we here in the United States were raised incorrectly on. But I don't only want to talk about the negative today, because yes, there are a lot of great interactions and things that come from this beautiful game that we love. And, to give some examples, I can just start with the relationship of the HustleNHoops guys. Me, Zach, Duve, Jack. Yeah, we all started as friends early on with nothing to do with basketball, but I'd be lying if I said that we'd be as close as we were without it. Jacob and I, we are Gus and Sean, if you know. And basketball, 2K, DHgate, NBA YouTube. That was our high school. That's what brought us together. That's what really made me into the young man that I was, early on, and shaped who I wanted to be based on a lot of the idols that I got from the game of basketball. Rest in peace, Kobe. But, again, I got a little off track, but what I was saying is the ability to cultivate such strong relationships with people through just a sport is something to be acknowledged. The interactions you'll see on Twitter between, large accounts and smaller accounts, or even just, the regular interactions between smaller accounts where you'll have just genuine good basketball conversation for a few seconds. And it can be very, wipes the slate clean, kind of refreshes the mind a little bit. It's nice. It can definitely be nice. And then you also have the interactions like when you meet a player. I met Isaiah Livers this year. That was very cool. That was my first NBA player to meet. Very exciting. Had a good conversation with him. He was a cool dude. Regular ass dude, You also have those random people that you meet in the street wearing some NBA gear and you go, hey, I like that. And then you spark up a conversation. And then you're sitting there talking about how you guys both, grew up on hoops when you were younger. It's an argument to be had. There are things that I'm not going to sit here and tell you are not valuable and genuine interactions, positive interactions, good interactions that come from the game of basketball. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that those don't exist. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's not a large, portion of people, what they're doing. But there is a loud community. There is a loud portion of the community that is just toxic and has no intention other than self-satisfaction. And it's like the bad shit pisses me off. We'll just skip right to it because it really gets on my fucking nerves because you've got a few different things that really get to me, and we'll start with one of the bigger ones and then get to the biggest one. But sports betting, whatever the fuck that app is called, BetMGM, DraftKings, I'm calling y'all all out. I'm sick and tired of going to watch a game and having to see 55 betting ads on how I can get $100 free on my first deposit, and no, that's not the point. If you as a viewer do not understand how playing repetitive betting ads over and over on a channel in which there's probably around 20 to 30% children watching, or at the bare minimum below the age of 18, you got me fucked up if you think that isn't terrible, despicable behavior. And you go to the NBA app and they've got it on there now, and you go to their YouTube page and they're advertising it on there, and you look at the jerseys and you look at the arenas. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And you listen to the people talk about their teams and the over and unders and the points. It, again, simply just viewing them as objects and numbers. And I know that's kind of just a byproduct of what it is. It's a sport. They're going to, have numbers, and there's numbers to analyze. And of course, there's value and weight in that. But end of the day, you can't talk about a human being only in the context of numbers ever. Like, if that's the only way you ever talk about a human being, a certain type of human being, you clearly have a certain perspective on that person. And I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but at the end of the day, I think we all know where that capability of belief, that willingness to not care comes from. And if you don't, you don't. But we can talk about that a little bit more when we get into language, because with sports betting, I don't have a solution. I really don't have a solution because it's spiraling out of control. It's going way further than I thought it could. And it's blowing up way faster than I think most people were imagining it would. But that's because it's an addiction, and it's a really dangerous one, because it's don't quote me on this, but it's one of the highest cross addictions that there is, which, if you don't know what that means, simply put, it's when you try to quit something else so you pick up another addiction. And more often than not, sports betting, or just betting in general, is what a lot of people end up turning to. And unfortunately, we live in a society that is starting to universally accept the fact that people should blow all their fucking money on a sport, and that we should be like inspiring people to go spend their paycheck on a sport. Be better. But we can quickly talk about a few small things. Video games, it's not a big deal. It's more just like, if you say the words out loud, it's kind of weird. Like, I'm gonna go play as LeBron James so I can, do the dribble moves I want and shoot how I want and play with LeBron how I want. Like, it's a weird wording. But then there's also, the trading cards, or not trading cards, but the cards and jersey collectors, where it's like, every lane kind of has a weird group of obsessive people that just so happen to find their satisfaction in something else. And I'm not judging, I'm just saying there can definitely be some odd aspects to it that just make you kind of turn your head a little bit. But I really just want to make note of those. The final thing that I want to talk about that just is the language we use. Now, that's super general because it is, but it's also pretty simple to understand. It's the words that we use. And what I'm talking about is the words that we use when we're talking about athletes, whether that be in writing, video, audio, whatever the fuck. We are in dire need of doing better. And it has to start from the top. It has to start from the ESPNs, the Bleacher Reports. Like, it's gotta start with you guys. You guys have to start reporting legitimate news and in a credible manner. You guys are not fucking TMZ, like, we don't need to come on ESPN and talk about, and I'm not going to, but we don't need to go on ESPN and talk about a situation that we're not educated on, or before the fucking facts even come out. This is ESPN highlights in sports news. We are not here for that. And I'm not telling you to shut up and dribble. I'm not telling you to stick to your lane. I'm not telling you this and that. I'm telling you to fucking be credible and be educated in what the fuck you talk about. Because I just don't understand why these people with platforms that are so massive have no awareness or no thought of the gravity of what they say and the words that they use. Because yeah, of course, I'm not sitting here and telling you everything that comes out of their mouths on ESPN is bullshit and that you shouldn't listen to it and that, oh my God, burn down the big corporations. I'm saying it's really simple stuff. It's really small things like, and I'll use one example because I think this is a really important and an example that says a lot, is the Isaiah Stewart, LeBron James incident. Now, I don't want to talk about what happened. I don't want to talk about the reaction. My only thing that I think is relevant is the fact that you then, the next day, or even that day, had people on live television, 40, 50-year-old white men on live television, calling a black man violent on a massive platform. And I promise you, I shit you not, that I doubt, unfortunately, Isaiah will ever be able to get past that cloud that has been put over him by the media. Because whenever Isaiah gets brought up, he's gritty, he's tough, he gets it done. All we've heard from people in his camp, in the Detroit camp, is that Isaiah Stewart's a teddy bear, and he's one of the nicest guys, most genuine guys you'll ever meet. So where's my issue, you might ask? My issue is in the language. You don't go up on television and call really anyone, but specifically a black man, violent. The threat that carries is terrifying. It's actually scary. To think that someone could have the power to paint an individual a certain way. People could have the power to paint an individual a certain way for the rest of their lives. And we've seen it before, so many times before. And it's unfortunate that we're in a sport, it's really unfortunate that we're in a sport that characterizes some of the issues that marginalized communities in the United States deal with so perfectly. It mirrors eerily well. And this is going to be preachy. This is going to be the preachiest video ever. Do you know why? Do you know why that is? That is because the institutions that make up the flawed system in the United States are being held up by the same people that are making up the institutions that are holding up the NBA. And they're being treated with the same practices and behaviors and intentions and goals. And that's why the NBA as it is now is set to fail. Yeah, that's how I want to close out this video. If we continue down this path of objectifying our players, treating them not like humans, disregarding any sense of responsibility or awareness of platform when speaking on these players, not only is the fan base going to continue to become worse and worse and less bearable, but the players, the media, the actual content that comes from the league is going to be less enjoyable. You guys love the drama. You guys love the bullshit. Just wait and see what happens when everyone in this league is an asshole. Wait and see until everyone is an isolationist and everyone is man for themselves. Because let's be honest, it's not. I don't know if it's ever been truly man for themselves. And not only that, but also like, again, fan bases are purely surviving off of hope that injuries won't happen, or hope that X player won't, have some situation, let's just say, hope that will suck enough to get a draft pick. All that to say, I just fucking love basketball so much. Like, I hate the fact that and this is just going to be a therapy session because fuck it. I hate the fact that I've had to miss so much basketball. Just working, really. I mean, it's disappointing. It's definitely disappointing. It makes me think of like high school and being able to watch so many. But if this made any sense to anyone, leave a like. If not, let me know, because I don't even know if this made any sense to me. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.